Hey, today we're going to take a look at overall rankings in Betmix and talk a little bit about how those numbers are computed, what that actually means, how you can use it, and clear up a little bit of confusion that some of y'all may have about what those are used for and what they really mean. You'll see them at the bottom of every race. In the bottom right hand corner, you see overall rankings. There's a little help button you can mouse over, and that talks about it a little bit. But by default, the overall rankings are set at 45. And what that means is we have 45 factors in Betmix across all these different categories. We have them all ranked over here in the race profile stats. And so in each race type, we're saying, well, looking at all the previously run races, this we have determined is the most important factor, speed last race. And we go down the list to the bottom factor for this race type is average turf earnings. The importance of these factors, the rank of these factors is going to change from race to race. So in this particular race, we're looking at a 7 furlong dirt allowance race, optional claiming race at Belmont Park. So if we were looking at a 5 furlong turf race at Louisiana Downs, these factors would certainly be different. They'd be a lot different. The most important factor would change, and the worst factor would also change. So the overall rankings is a kind of a generic way to look at the races. It's not a bad way. It's not the best way. It's not the worst way. But what by default this is saying is that if you look at every single factor and you're giving them equal importance, these are how the horses are ranked. The best horse being number 5 with 254 points, and the last ranked horse being number 4 with 164 points. And these points are computed this way. If you have a race, so in this particular race, we see that we have 9 horses. So if you're ranked first, if the horse is ranked first in a category, he's going to get 9 points for being ranked first. You can get 8 points for being ranked second, 7 for being ranked third, and so on, all the way down to 1 point for being ranked last. Maybe an easier way to look at that is let's change the overall rankings using this slider. As I move this slider, you're going to see this number go up and down. It's really simple. All the way to the left, you're looking at one factor. So this is ranking all of the horses based on one factor, which is the top factor. And as you slide it to the right, you're adding in more. So you're either looking at the best factor, the best 2 factors, the best 3 factors, and so on, all the way to using all 45 factors. So again, let's slide this back to 1. We're looking at the top factor. And for this race, again, that would be speed last race because it's ranked number 1, the top factor. And over here, you can see that the horses are ranked 3, 2, 6, 1. And down here, you can see that they're ranked 3, 2, 6, 1. This horse is getting 9 points for being ranked first. This one's getting 8 for second, 7 for third, 6 for fourth, and so on. Another way to look at the same exact thing is speed last race. We'll turn that factor on over here. Speed last race. And you're going to get these same rankings, 3, 2, 6, 1, 9, 5, 7, 4, 8. Same thing over here, 3, 2, 6, 1, 9, 5, 7, 4, 8. Now, what is the difference between overall rankings and using the factor rankings? When you're looking at the overall rankings, again, you're using this scoring method of 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So it's really not telling you how great the difference is between 1 and 2. It's just a numerical system, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If we look at that same factor up here, we see how closely ranked they actually are. So by turning on speed last race over here, we have one factor turned on. The top ranked horse is always going to is at 100, and then the 2 and the 6 are tied at 95.9. That's an interesting thing to note here. When there are ties, it's kind of the tie is broken by post position, so the 2 is ranked higher than the 6, and you'll see that the next 2 are tied at 93.9, and so on, all the way down to the last ranked horse, number 8, who's 86.7. So you're going to get more detailed information by using the sliders over here to rank the horses. But this is a quick way to take let's say the top 10 factors. I want to look at the top 10 factors, and using only those, the order is 8, 9, 5, 2, 3, etc. You can see the difference in the score. It's not that great of a difference between the 8 and the 9. We're talking 1 point here. So these are very closely ranked. This middle column here says ranked first in. And that means that looking at the top 10 factors, the number 8 horse right here is ranked first in 3 of them. Well, we can see that over here too. We're looking at the top 13 in this view, but just imagine we're looking at the top 1 through 10, and we can go over here and count up that the 8 is ranked first in this one, first in this one, and first in this one. So he's ranked first in 3 of the top 10 categories. If we set this, let's go back down to the overall rankings over here, and we set this all the way back to 45, you can see that the 5 is ranked first in 6 of them, the 3 is ranked first in 9. Now this is an interesting thing to note here too. Sometimes the top ranked overall horse is not going to be ranked first in as many factors as the horse underneath it, and that happens because he may be ranked second or third or fourth in a lot of the factors, but not first in as many as another horse. So you're going to have a score that's going to reflect how closely to the top you're ranked in the number of factors you're looking at. So there's some interesting information that you can kind of glean from this. So if you're and this is probably, it could be a good example or bad, I'm not exactly sure. So let's say we're just looking at the top 20 factors. You can go down here and you can see that, well, hey, number 6 is ranked first in zero of the top 20 factors, but yet he's ranked 4th overall. There's some horses underneath him that are ranked first in some categories, but the 6 is not. So what you can assume maybe from that is that, well, this horse is not ranked highly, or not ranked at the top in anything, but he's ranked highly in a lot of them. And this is the kind of horse that could be overlooked at the windows. He's not going to be a standout in any one particular factor, but he's ranked pretty high in a lot of them to get that kind of a score. So if you go up here and look at this horse, well, his morning line is 6-1. So, that's probably in line with where he's ranked over here. Looking at the top 20 factors, we have the 9 ranked on top, and the 9 is the favorite. So that's, not a great surprise in this particular race. You'll have several races you'll pull up and you'll see that the top ranked horse at any particular level of rankings may not be the favorite. It could be a long shot, and so that's interesting information to have also. Something that a lot of people think is the case, and it's certainly not true, is that the overall rankings are Betmix's picks for the race, and that's not true at all. This is a tool within Betmix, and when you look at this, and it's when you open up the race and you see that it's the top 45 by default, this is certainly not our pick. This is not who we are saying is going to win the race. This is just a tool, just a way for you to look at the race. Now, again, this 45, it's by default at 45, but that is not the optimal setting for this, because when you're looking at 45 factors, you're including all those bad factors along with all the good ones. There is an ideal setting for this. It's somewhere between 7 to 15. And it changes from race type to race type. We will be down the road, we will be doing some analysis on that and kind of suggesting where the best setting should be for any particular race. But for the most part, you're going to find that between 7 and 15, you're going to find your best results. So there's a lot of ways to look at this. So let's say, all right, let's assume that between 7 and 15 is the best. So let's look at it at 7. We see the 9s on top, and we start scrolling over 8, 9, 10. During that span of settings from 7 to 15, we saw a few different horses ranked on top. You see the 9 ranked on top when we're looking at 7, the top 7 factors. As we include the top 8 factors, the 5 is all of a sudden ranked on top. Well, actually tied with the 8. At 9 factors, the 8 is ranked on top, and at 10 it's still the 8. At 11 it goes back to the 9, the 12 the 9, the 13 the 9, the 14 the 9, the 15 the 9. So the 9 kind of jumps ahead towards the end there. So during that little span of 7 to 15, we get 3 different horses ranked on top, and that's information that you can use when handicapping, that there's 3 horses that are potentially very strong plays based on this ranking system in this race. And you can actually start it at 1, and you could say, and you can argue this, that the most important factor in the race, which is speed last race, the top ranked horse is the 3. As you start adding in more factors, you can see that the 3 kind of falls off the map, but he does show back up second here later on. So going from 1 to 45, you see the 3, the 2, the 5, the 9, the 8, the 9, back to the 5. So those are all horses that appear at the top during this as you're playing with these rankings, and that signifies something or it signifies nothing. It's all on how you want to interpret that. There's a lot of people that are using these overall rankings to come up with possible contenders. So a real super simple, quick way to look at this race. Let's say I'm playing a pick 3 or a pick 4 and I want to find every possible contender in this race. Well, you could say, well, based on all top 45 factors, I'm going to use the top 2, 3, 4 horses. You go back down and say, I think that the absolute best setting is 12, and I'm going to use the top 2 or 3 horses there. Or you could say, I'm going to use every horse that appears on top as I scroll, as I go from 1 to 45, and you'd get a different group of horses. So this particular box, it's kind of a very quick and dirty way to handicap, but there's a lot of information that's built into the overall rankings. It's up to you to determine which setting you want here and interpret a lot of the information that's there. How closely are these horses ranked? 84, 83, 83. That's not a huge disparity in rankings when looking at the top 14 factors. They're separated by 1 point. You go up here and you look at the 9, 3, and the 5. You have a 2 to 5 horse, a 4 to 1 horse, and a 10 to 1 horse. So looking at the top 14 factors, the 5 horse is 10 to 1. Going over here and looking at it, he's not ranked in the top 4 here. He's at 4th in the trainer jockey ROI meet, which is the second most important factor. He's 3rd in this factor, 1st in this one, and so on. You can kind of see where he figures within this group. So just to sum it up here, overall rankings are not who Betmix says is going to win the race. This is a tool. You can set it from 45 to 1 or any level in between. And you need to look at you need to look at this information here and use that when you're handicapping. Certainly the higher ranked a horse is, the better it is ranked within the factors that you're looking at. How many times how many factors is it ranked first in? That's important information. How many horses show up from 1 to 45 or from 7 to 15 or whatever range you want to look at. All that stuff's very important to kind of evaluate the race. You can use this in conjunction with your mixes. As you have a mix for this race, you can compare the rankings here to the rankings in your mix. There's a lot of people that determine the competitiveness of the race, and I'm kind of a big believer in this too. Looking at top to bottom, what's the point difference? 92 is the top ranked horse. I'm set at 15 right now, and down here at the bottom, the worst ranked horse is 53. At what point is a horse not even a contender anymore? Is it a horse that's 20 points from the leader? So let's say anything that's within 20 points is a contender in this race. You have all the way down to the 6. You'll find races where you only have 1 or 2 contenders. So there's a lot of information here that you can use. It's a quick way to handicap. It's an accurate way to handicap because it is based on a lot of data that's been compiled and summed up for you in a real quick interface, quick tool. But it's not the only answer. It's not the best answer. It's not our pick. It's just another tool that you can use to handicap a race. And you'll find as you play with this, and kind of the easiest way to get a feel for it, if you go to Mixmaker, go to Tools and then Mixmaker, and pick a date for we'll pick the 8th, and we'll pick Belmont, and we'll pick race 1 just to start off here. And I'm picking a day that's already run so I can see the results. So in this race we know that the 2 won. Well, this is a maiden claiming race, so not the best example, but we'll use it anyway. So that we know that the 2 won the race. Go through here and scroll back and forth and see at what point was the 2 ranked the highest. And so in this particular case, using the top 32 factors, you got the 2 in second. You had 427, and you see that at 264. You pick another race. Let's pick a race that's hopefully not a maiden race. All right. Well, here's a long shot. The 5 won and paid $35. Where was that 5 in the overall rankings? Well, in this particular case, he was ranked on top using 45 factors. Well, let's go down a little bit. Now this is interesting. The 5 is ranked on top from from 1 all the way to 45. He stays on top the entire time. I have no idea why this horse got off at such a big price, but it was clearly a dominant horse in this race. If you go over here and look at the top factors, it's pretty clear that he was ranked first, second. Well, actually there were some scratches. Let's go ahead and remove those. The 13 and the 14 were out. So looking, just eyeballing this race and looking at the top 6 factors, you had the 5 ranked on top in 5 of the top 6 factors. So it's no surprise that he was ranked very highly all the way throughout over here. So overall, he was ranked on top in 12 of the top 45 factors, and no matter where you had set this particular race, you would have ended up with a 5, and you would have seen that he was quite dominant. He was 26 points ahead of the second ranked horse, in this range, and paid $35. Wow. So this is you had 5-11-1 here, and you had 5-11-1 here. So this was at 12 you had the trifecta cold, 5-11-1, and I'm sure that paid quite well with a $35 horse on top. So that's one way to look at this. Kind of go back and look at the mix maker results and then see where you feel the horses are ranked, and you can learn from this. You can say, well, this horse was clearly dominant. Let's find another race. We'll go to the 9th race, and we'll see that the 1, let's go ahead and scratch the 9. So in this race, it was 1-8-11. Well, this is another case where at 45 the 1 was on top, but down here you get some variations in that. Starting off at 1, you get 3-1, 8-6, 1, 11, 1. So from 10 all the way to 45, the 1 is ranked on top. So if you go with your optimal setting, for example, at 12, you see that there's a pretty big difference here. You have a 14-point difference between the 1 and the 8. The 1's ranked on top in 5 of the top 12 factors. And you could have made a very good argument that the 1 was going to win the race, and he did, paid $11.20. And again, this one had it 1-8-11. So that was a good day for the overall rankings. It's not going to always happen that way. You will find that in some races, the winner's ranked at the bottom. But in most cases, when you're using this overall rankings in a range between 7 to 15, you're going to find that the winner is going to be in the top 4. It's very accurate, and it's something that you need to use, but you don't want to rely on it completely. And it's not us saying, hey, this is how we've ranked the horses, because it's the data ranking the horses, and it's where you set the slider that determines the rank. So keep all that in mind. Use this tool in conjunction with your mixes, and I think that you'll find in the long run it provides a lot of great information. Best of luck.